So in this demo, we are going to now plug in a brand new access point and bring it up on our wireless controller. And you've already seen that I've already configured it to support one access point on port 13. And now we're going to bring up the second one. So I've plugged it into port 13. The lights are flashing, which means it's got power. So just configure T and then into the interface 0-15. I always like to give it a meaningful description. And this access point has external antennas, so I've called it 3500E. My other access point has internal antennas. So I've got two different models, and we want to do switch port access, and this time we're going to put it on VLAN 6. And then we want to just define this port as mode access. Now normally you would execute a no shutdown command, but I have actually already executed no shutdown on all of my ports in the lab, and again it's just to save myself time. Normal operations you would have all of these ports shut down that you're not in use. Let's take a look at our configuration. Now one of the things I have to do next is to go here and execute this command here to add VLAN 6. And here you can now see that I have configured port 15. So let's now go and configure port 1. And this time I want to do switch port, trunk, allowed, VLANs, and I want to do 5, 6, and 60. So I just want to save this. Always want to have a quick look at my configuration. You never know. And here's my interface here. That's wonderful. Now there's one other thing that I need to do, and I need to make sure that it's set up to acquire an IP address. So I need to set up my pool. So let's go ahead and do that. So we call it a DHCP pool MyPool 6. So we want to set up the network 10.6.6.0 255, put my network mask in, my domain name lab.com, DNS server is the IP address of my server 2003 60.4, and then I want to put in my default router. We make that 10.6.6.1. So default router of 10.6.6.1, enter the mask. And then we have to do option 43. So if you want to know what this is, so what it does is it defines the length and the type at the beginning, and then I put the IP address of the management interface. So in this case that's 0A050502, and then I put the IP address of the AP manager interface, and again I'm putting it in hex. So that's 0A050503. Hopefully I've got that right. And then I'm going to put in option 60, which is for this access point is a 3500, so is APC 3500, and I looked that up in the Getting Started guide at Cisco. I can exit that, and then I need to exclude some IP addresses. So I want to exclude DHCP, exclude addresses, and I'll exclude the first 100 in this example. So we'll just go from 10.6.6.6.100. And so that means when the access point connects, and any clients that connect to the access point, it will select an IP address between 101 and 254. Okay, so let's take a look at how that's configured it. So you can see here's my excluded address range, and here is my pool. Now it should be looking just like the one above, so let's make sure I didn't forget anything. All looks good. Let's see if my access point has acquired an IP address. I know what I forgot. I forgot to set up the interface VLAN. So see here where I've got interface VLAN 5. I need to set that one up. So I'm going into the interface VLAN 6. Give it a description, and then I need to give it an IP address. Okay, so now I want to take a look at see if it's got an IP address. So IP DHCP and bindings. There we go. So now we can see that my access point has indeed acquired an IP address. So we have now successfully configured the switch. Now we need to go and configure the access controller. So now we're back on my server 2003. So what we want to do is we're in the controller. Wants me to reconnect. And what we want to do is we want to set up a new interface. So I'll come over here and select new, give this a name, and it's VLAN 6 we're going to set up. Give it a VLAN ID here. So I set apply. There we go. Give it a port number of 1. Remember, I have one trunk, and that's carrying my static management interfaces, and it's carrying my dynamic interfaces. And this is going to be VLAN number 6. Put in the IP address of the interface on the wireless LAN controller. So we give it 10.6.6.2. Subnetwork mask 255.255.255-0, and my gateway, we make that 10.6, give it 6.3. My DHCP server, of course, is my Windows Server 2003, so that's 192.168.60.4. Click apply. And now you can see I have successfully set up my VLAN. Now let's take a look and see if we found our access point. Here it is, and that didn't take too long this second time. So now you can see I've got my original 3500 and I've now got my second 3500 configured. So my access point is now registered on my wireless LAN controller.